If you don't have children or don't have kids in school, you may not realize how much the classroom has changed from when you were there. It's not just technology, though, that's changed. Schools are now required to do much more with less. It's the kind of job where the day starts long before.
Lots of guys go a lot further than I do.
Day breaks.
I've drove the bus since my first day here, 11 years now.
Landon Lewis gets to watch the sunrise as he picks up his portion of Alex Public Schools' 300-some kids. But Mr. Lewis is not just a bus driver.
You ready for today? All right.
His day job is teaching music.
I really wouldn't. I wouldn't trade the years I've been teaching for anything.
We came to Alex to see what makes a small school tick. And because more than 60% of all kids in Oklahoma go to a school that has less than 1,000 students.
Really all about 10 years of my life I've been here in Alex.
Isaac Byrne is now the elementary school principal of the elementary school he attended. He's also co-athletic director and transportation director.
During the course of the day, I got to work on scheduling athletic events, scheduling transportation, all those types of things. So the day can go pretty quickly.
With everyone doing a little bit of everything, the problems in education can be amplified, like the teacher shortage. Selling a job as a teacher isn't as easy as it used to be, and trying to convince someone to move to a town that's well off the beaten path.
No, this probably not a place I would look, but I wouldn't change it.
Sharissa Byrne is a city girl who learned to love a small town, in part because her husband wanted to move back home. If you haven't figured it out, he's the elementary principal.
I think every teacher in a large school or every administrator in a large school should visit and take a role of a small school teacher administrator.
Alex actively recruits teachers.
You can grab it and move it.
But the school is also focused on keeping the teachers it has despite low salaries.
People say sometimes we're being selfish, and that's not a selfish thing. We have families too that we have to support.
Valerie McCauley has been teaching in Alex for 11 years, and she has her master's degree.
After working anywhere for 11 years, if you're making $35,000, that's a hard pill to swallow.
In Alex, teachers are rewarded with retention bonuses. That helps, but it is getting harder to be a teacher.
Sometimes, kids ask us, in your honest opinion, should I be a teacher? And it's hard for me to tell them yes. There's a lot of struggles.
McCauley's classroom is unique. It's the STEM class, which stands for science, technology, engineering, and math.
They start to understand why, they're learning algebra and why they're learning biology. We try to do a little bit of the hands-on in here.
Not every school in Oklahoma has a STEM class. It's funded through Career Tech rather than the Public Education Fund. But in here, students get the hands-on that's missing from classrooms focused on teaching to tests.
It doesn't matter what field you're in, you're always thinking about things, you're always inventing.
We stopped teaching the things that made us great and started focusing on those bubble answer sheets, and I think it's hurting our education.
Alex Superintendent Dr. Jason James says unfunded mandates and tests that promote recitation rather than retention have taken away from true educational instruction.
If you want a society full of test takers that can do multiple choice tests, then we're doing a really good job of meeting that need. I do not believe that we're doing a very good job educating the whole child.
Some of the educational problems don't need more money to fix. Some do. But most of all in Alex, we learned what schools need most of all is support.
We have to really come together and stop and dial down the rhetoric of casting all the problems of society on the teacher.
And support is something the tiny town of Alex has in abundance.
Everybody does come together, whether it's athletics, academics, or the simple of doing some construction on the school. So everybody helps out.
Keith Alcorn owns The Feedlot, the best barbecue in Alex. He's also on the school board and says the community supports the school.
The community's growing so much, it's huge.
And that support keeps the entire town alive. It is the community connection that makes small schools like Alex survive.
It doesn't matter if we're having a Christmas musical. Our community comes out and supports our kids, and without that, education is very difficult.
Alex has to tackle the same problems as big and little schools all over the state, but the solutions to those problems so far seems to be a one-size-fits-all approach.
We're trying to go about solving a major problem with solutions that I don't think have a very big impact on the problem.
It's hard to know if Alex is the exception or the rule when it comes to small schools, but Dr. James believes his school's success is a team effort, from teachers pulling double duty to the community that is fully invested in the next generation. After our visit, voters in Alex overwhelmingly approved a new bond measure which will build new facilities that promise to serve both the students and the community as they continue to be partners in the future. Phil Cross, Fox 25 News. It was a heated debate today at the Supreme Court as both sides of this issue were grilled by Supreme Court justices, not only about the use of midazolam, but also about other details regarding the death penalty.
I think that's what it is. I think the petitioners are fundamentally attacking the death penalty more so than the use of midazolam in the execution process.
Attorney General Scott Pruitt spoke to the media after the hearing, but it was his Solicitor General that delivered the arguments before the Supreme Court. And he was once scolded by Justice Sonia Sotomayor, who said she found so many errors and omissions in his legal briefs that she wouldn't believe anything he said or read in court without reviewing it herself.
I believe that we have put on a case before the Supreme Court today that will establish midazolam as a constitutional means of using lethal injection.
As problematic executions have demonstrated, midazolam cannot reliably produce a constitutional execution.
But some justices disagreed, saying this case is an attack on the death penalty itself. And like Justice Samuel Alito argued, the court's ruling could make future lethal injections impossible by drying up the supply of effective drugs. In fact, Fox 25 has learned the makers of midazolam sent states, including Oklahoma, request to get their drugs back and for states not to use them outside the therapeutic purpose. Has the maker of midazolam asked for its drugs back from the state of Oklahoma? They sent out letters.
We have access to the drug called midazolam at this time.
But did the state receive a letter from the makers of midazolam asking for its recall?
We have access to midazolam now. It can be used in the execution process.
Now, late this afternoon, the Attorney General's office sent me a copy of that letter we were asking about. It did request that the state return the supply of midazolam to the manufacturer. The Attorney General's office says that letter was just the result of anti-death penalty advocates putting pressure on drug manufacturers. Reporting at the United States Supreme Court, Phil Cross, Fox 25 News. Every day, Joel Tumbleson has a routine.
They are certainly a problem, and they are certainly destructive.
Checking his crops and his traps.
They come up out of that Rush Creek, and in one night, they tore up 2 acres of cantaloupes, and I mean, just destroyed the whole crop.
They're an invasive species that carry a number of diseases that really are a risk to our livestock industries.
Dr. Justin Roach is a state veterinarian with the Department of Agriculture. These pictures show just some of the damage a family of hogs called a sounder can do. Some estimates put Oklahoma's feral swine population at more than 1 million hogs.
They're known for rooting up crops, whether it be the actual plant or it be the seed that's just been planted.
Because hogs multiply so fast, it is estimated Oklahoma would have to get rid of 70% of the hog population every year just to maintain current population levels. Trapping is an effective method, but
if you don't catch all of them in a sounder, you have a few that just become educated, and they effectively, that group then won't go into traps in the future.
Some have taken to hunting hogs for sport.
And hogs are not a sport to me. They should. That's a vendetta. You need to have, yeah, that's right. You need to have blood in your eye when you look at them.
For farmers, it is war.
Every farmer I know, talk to, they've had some kind of problem with hogs.
And even with hunting and trapping, it is a war we are not winning.
If we don't get them under control, we're not going to have any wildlife left.
But if it is war hogs want, it's time to call in a warrior.
The 69 airframe, and so it flew in Vietnam with B Troop 717 Air Cav. It was part of a hunter scout team.
Meet the pride and joy of Hogbirds Aviation, a fully restored Vietnam Scout helicopter.
All the farmers and producers are overrun with hogs, so we're trying to, constantly reach out to landowners, farmers, ranchers, producers, and help them eradicate the problems.
Corey Allen is a founding partner of Hogbirds.
With a helicopter, you can jump up in an hour and shoot anywhere from 15 hogs to 80 hogs.
Aerial hog hunting was only recently made legal in Oklahoma, so right now Hogbirds is mainly in Texas. But the Oklahoma owners are hoping to expand north. We got to fly along for a look at the benefits and dangers of hunting from the air.
We're trying to fly over the heavy bush, the trees, and we just fly around and have a look and see if we can find where the hogs are hiding.
Richard Sidebottom is our pilot on this flight, and unlike some other hunting choppers, this one was built for exactly this kind of low and slow flying.
We're gonna fly down this river here, or this creek, and here's where a lot of the hogs would be. They're kind of hiding in the creek bottom.
Our flight didn't find any hogs, but this video of another hunt provided by Hogbirds shows how quickly a sounder can be eradicated.
They're a nuisance, so it's just like having rats in your house. I mean, by any means necessary, you have to get rid of them because they'll multiply, they'll take over.
Shooting from the air can be dangerous, which is why Hogbirds provide special training to hunters to make sure they don't shoot the skids or rotors. Being a warbird, it has already taken more than its fair share of gunfire.
We're never going to contain them. We're just trying to do what we can to help as much as possible to eradicate.
The message is 2 minutes and 20 seconds long. In it, threats and curse words directed at a former employee of the lawmaker's private business. And Representative Mark McBride accuses the man of using McBride's name to solicit customers and of bad-mouthing his construction company. And in the voicemail, McBride makes it clear he's not happy about it.
I got more stuff than you have no idea. You have no idea. I am going to personally make your life miserable just because you have badmouthed my name around.
That is State Representative Mark McBride listening to the voicemail he left.
Buddy, you screw with me, and I am going to get even, and I'm getting even.
The message was given to Fox 25 by a former employee of McBride's private construction business. The call was made May 12th, just minutes after the House of Representatives wrapped up their morning work.
I'm a citizen legislator. I have a company here that I've worked hard to build and protect. And then I've got a guy. Have you checked this guy's background?
Fox 25 did check, and the man who we'll call RM because he doesn't want his face shown was once McBride's paid employee and does have a felony conviction in Oklahoma. In 2014, he pled guilty to driving under the influence and eluding police while in possession of cocaine. Prosecutors agreed to an 8-year suspended sentence at the beginning of this year, which means he won't go to prison if he stays out of trouble. The most recent case filing earlier this month includes a report indicating good behavior and credits for community service.
It's pretty scary. I mean, you got somebody in such a position of power that they can do anything they want.
Although RM didn't want us to show his face, he did talk to us about the voicemail. RM says he didn't badmouth McBride to McBride's customers, and he's now working for a new construction company. McBride says he hired RM because he was down on his luck and wanted to give him a hand up.
You ran my company down, my son's down, me down, so now you get ready because you're going to jail, and I'm going to keep you there. Every time you get out, I'm going to find out, and I'm going to get you put back in.
Yeah, I did the wrong thing. I shouldn't have blowed up and probably said some of the things, but the message is still the same.
But after leaving McBride Construction, RM did do odd jobs for a man he met while working for McBride. James Schroeder says he reached out to RM and asked him to do the work.
You screwed with the wrong guy when you called and when you met with the Schroeders and ran my business down. Do not show, I'm telling you, you might ought to go back to Texas because you screwed with the wrong guy.
Did Schroeder call you and complain about him?
That's neither here nor there.
Well,
It's about me and him.
Well, in the call you said Mr. Schroeder, you had a problem because he went to Mr. Schroeder.
That's neither here nor there.
Were you stolen from McBride Construction?
Nope. He wasn't stolen from McBride Construction.
Schroeder says he was upset when his name was brought up by McBride in the voicemail. And he says he's glad he hired RM.
You dang right I do. I don't help people that don't help themselves. And I knew he helped himself.
He helped me out, but honestly, I did it for free, and then he helped me out, and then he said I got a couple other things I could do. So, I mean, I felt like it was a blessing.
He does not belong, him or anybody like him does not belong in the city of Moore.
McBride wouldn't answer why he hired someone he now wants out of the state.
So you need to pack your get out of Oklahoma. Just advice. Bye.
Or why he told RM to leave the state if he wants him to be prosecuted.
Okay, that's the end of the story.
McBride says if he wasn't a state rep, this wouldn't be a story and he would be free to say whatever he wanted.
Take his word for it and run with your story. Do whatever you need to do, but I passed legislation to protect my constituents.
In 2013, McBride authored legislation that strengthened registration requirements for roofing contractors, though his law contains exemptions for someone who is acting as a handyman doing multiple jobs for a private homeowner. RM now has a new job with a competitor to the state representative's private business and is trying to support his family while making amends for his Oklahoma felony conviction.
I had got a new job, and they called up there even trying to get me to lose my job and everything else. So, I mean, not sure how far he's going to go.
We put the entire phone message left by Representative McBride on our website for you to listen to so you can judge for yourself. Just go to OKCFox.com. Reporting in the studio, Phil Cross, Fox 25 News.